You're tuned into RX Radio. Movement prescribed. Brought to you by Prescript.com. A personalized approach to keeping you healthy and making your best even better. Your hosts, Dr. Jordan Shallow and Dr. Jordan Jinta.
Of someone getting like hair, like the chia pet thing with like the needle that jabs you in the head.
No,
it's really
but
terrifying.
Where do they seed from? They just take it from my back?
I think it's like seeding a lawn, right?
Yeah, but there's got to be like the actual seed, or so they like,
it's a follicle. It's a baby follicle.
So they're just injecting it into your
it's not like a
skin.
big. It's not like a big hair.
Right.
It's like a little petri dish.
They're not
hair.
going and dropping palm trees.
Yeah, this is what we should be looking at right now. Let's look up plugs.
Okay, that looks terrible.
Well, I think that grows out, right? Yeah, look at. See, it's like a little. It's like a sew-in.
That one's even worse.
So that's a man weave.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a mesh front.
That's so bad. It literally looks like someone landscaped a guy's forehead.
That looks like it hurts.
What? Yeah.
Apparently, it's excruciating.
You know what's not excruciating? Just being bald.
So here's my plan, because like I'll probably go bald.
Your dad bald? Hold on. Is your grandfather on your mother's side bald?
No,
I think
he had thinning hair, but like he still had hair.
How old was he?
Oh, he was close to 90.
Yo, take thinning at 90.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Right.
But like my plan is to shave my head at some point in the near future, get my head tattooed, regrow the hair, and in the case that I do go bald, it doesn't look like I had a crisis and tattooed my head.
Right. Yeah. That's the reactive head tattoo is that's a crisis moment.
Yeah, because people know, right? They're like, oh, you got your head tattooed because you're bald.
Yeah.
But if my hair just falls out and there's a tattoo arrives.
I mean, it would immediately stop anyone from fucking with you. Unless you went the Montgomery Burns balding route. Like if you had the O-ring.
Yeah, but you
the stadium seating.
Yeah, the Costanza. Yeah, but you just get rid of that. I don't know why people leave it.
Cling to it. Like
that's where they take it from.
They chop the back of your head open. Yo, this is like the movie Get Out. I'm waiting for him to just like take a brain and put it in.
Whoa!
What? Yo, they scalp him.
No, what? Whoa, bruh.
No, that's gonna leave a Fullerton scar.
What am I watching?
I don't know.
What just happened?
Who pays for this?
This is the most graphic. Man, imagine this playing in the lobby of like your physician's office or something.
Dude,
like, yo,
just go out. Bald, my guy.
Listen, for those of you who aren't watching what we're watching, we're going through
extraction.
This is insane. We're watching the hair plug What is?
No, you shouldn't even explain it. You should just tell them to go to YouTube.
Just go to YouTube and
actually
subscribe.
go to our YouTube.
Go to our YouTube
because it's on there right now. That you're seeing exactly.
Yeah,
what
you'll see the reaction video.
Fucking oh my god, dude! I don't mind the widow's peak.
This is like two guys, one plug.
Oh, look at dude.
Ooh.
I can't. I don't.
It's like There Will Be Blood for hair. Like he's drinking everybody's milkshake.
For me, it looks like what's his name? Matt Damon in The Martian.
Yeah, I don't
eating
like
shit
this.
potatoes,
like
growing them
all.
on Mars. It makes more sense to grow shit potatoes on Mars than it does to scalp the back of your head and put it on your forehead.
I don't like this. Like I think if I were to go bald and this was the only option, I'd just get breast implants to make
chop my fucking head off.
To just distract people.
That's insane.
He's bald and he has tits. I care more about the tits.
Yeah, I think the head tattoo is the play in that case. Dude. That's why I like the side shave, right? Because I can easily get a side shave and get like a head skull tattoo. I can't. I'm not going. You going full dome with it?
Oh yeah.
You're going full Mike Van Wyck.
Yeah.
Just coming over the top. Fuck, man, that's aggressive.
Yeah, but you get, you know what I mean? You shave your head, you get a little head tattoo done, couple weeks.
Yeah. It's gone.
Or you got the Derek Vineyard, you're back to work.
She'll get buried in a Jewish cemetery.
Yeah, stomp your way back to work.
You'll be all good. That's fucking terrifying.
I never want to see that again.
I didn't realize it was so invasive.
I didn't know they cut a strip out of your head.
And you know what? By the looks of it, it didn't even seem necessary because they still just...
they just did the same pluck and tuck.
So
it was
one
so
of the
bad they had to have an animation and not a real life.
Well, could you imagine? That'd be on some snuff porn site or something. So you're saying one of these dudes got plugs?
Yeah, either Logan Paul or his brother. I think it might have his brother. Jake Paul is the bigger YouTuber. I think he got a hair job in HJ.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably got a few HJs.
HJs used to mean something different back in my day. How old is this kid to be getting plugs?
Dude, look at that one picture. Bald, bro.
That's unfortunate.
Looking like Chuck Norris on a roller coaster.
Oh, maybe this is like fake.
Oh, hold on.
Proves he didn't.
Nah,
get a
he
hair
got a fucking hair transplant, bro.
Okay.
Look at that forehead.
Yeah, dude, that's a mile back. That's a 7 head. Yeah, but his hair is objectively longer. He's on a roller coaster. He's actually on a roller coaster by the looks of it in the pictures on the left.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck this guy. This guy's got to be able to go bald. It's like you made. What would he have done if it wasn't for YouTube?
That's
Right.
Well,
That's
so
the real question.
Apparently, he was a really high-level wrestler.
Okay. Name one other high-level wrestler.
Kurt Angle.
Right. How's he doing?
sick.
Okay.
Right. He's
Yeah,
just shot up
literally
the-
sick.
Yeah, he's sick. Isn't he dead?
No, I think he's just fucked up.
No. Oh, it's Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit.
Chris
Yeah.
Benoit.
That. You know what, man?
There's a lot of guys in the UFC that were pretty high-level wrestlers.
Right. All right. So maybe the UFC, but
So-
not making the fucking. What did he make last weekend?
Was it 20
I
schmil?
think it was 20 million.
Guaranteed to just him, or that was the gross for the main card.
No, I
that
think it
was for him.
him.
Floyd got 100.
Yo, Floyd. I mean, they both won. Obviously, I heard it was a boring fight.
They just hugged each other apparently. But what is boxing in 2021 but hugging each other?
Yeah, I just hug it out until you get paid.
So
Until
here's
the
my
last
thing.
Bell rings.
Like everyone complained about this fight where they just hugged each other the whole time. But if you watch Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson from like 15 years ago,
Yeah.
that was the identical fight.
Yeah. Well, that, big heavyweights though.
It was mutual destruction between Lewis and Tyson. They were like probably just gonna hug.
Yeah,
Because we're both like a year out from just call it a quits on the whole gig. And like, why do I really want to take a haymaker at this point?
Yeah, I wonder, like, obviously, friend of the show, Steph Cohen's got her fight coming up. So we're going to plug that September 18th in Jacksonville, Florida. To my understanding, that might be exclusive news here on RX Radio. But I just wonder, people are showing up. People are buying pay-per-views. Like, the undercard was a bare knuckle guy versus Chad Ochocinco,
Yeah,
which was crazy to me.
that's crazy.
But it's like, do you anticipate the next one of these events? Obviously, they're profitable. Do you see it having the same or less pull? Now, because here's the tricky part. Mayweather, best of all time. So you're going to be able to pull from this boxing cohort. Now, I've understood that Woodley's fighting. Is Woodley fighting McGregor?
Is that who it is?
Tyrone Woodley? Who's he fighting? They just announced it. No, is he fighting the other brother?
Yeah.
He's fighting Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Yeah, you told me this.
Yeah. So Tyrone Woodley's fighting Jake Paul. Now, here's the thing with this particular card is that it's always interesting to just see different fight disciplines go up against one another. So I think this card will have pull, but like in a card where it's Hapthor and Eddie, right? And then it's I don't know the other Jake Bridges, or whatever the fuck, the CrossFit guy.
Yeah, Josh Bridges.
Right, Josh Bridges. And then Steph, right? Like, what is the shot? Like, obviously, I think the rest of this year, this is going to be the form of entertainment, right? What's the shelf life on this as a medium? Have we seen this before? Like, celebrity boxing was a show,
Yeah.
I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, what is the shelf life on this as a medium of entertainment? Like, is this just because pro sports we can't go to or haven't been able to go to?
Yeah, I think that's because like I think this brings in obviously like the Paul brothers bring the YouTube crowd and probably like a lot of the streaming community, which is like they have low sales resistance to anything. And then like these are all hosted in states that allow like the public to show up, right?
Yeah. So, but I mean, do you think when we can go to a Raptors game?
Oh, this loses all weight.
Okay, so it's like if I got a reason to go out on Saturday night, this is just a default, right? Because the majority, and I would say, I don't know what the stat is right now, but like I know up here, it feels like the majority of the world can't go out on a Saturday night. So it's like, they can pull an audience in Canada that if the Leafs were still in it, probably be watching Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday rather than streaming that or Sunday or whatever it was, right? So I just wonder, because is this unique? Like, is this spin-off first? If something like this popped up before?
It's never popped off like this.
No doubt.
But there's always a huge draw for Floyd Mayweather, no matter what. He's 50
Okay.
and 0. And then the fact that you have these Paul kids just talking shit about all these boxers, all these fighters, and they have such huge followings on YouTube. It's a totally different demographic. None of Jake Paul's and what's his name, Logan Paul's fan base would have ever watched. Most likely never watched MMA or boxing, and now that they see them in there, they're like, "Oh, these guys are gonna win because I love them," and then they just push it and push it and push it. Because this Mayweather fight was 6 months, like they started promoting 6 months ago,
right?
And I mean, these guys are idiots, but they can promote shit.
Right.
Like,
and then who's the idiot, right? Like if that is, I mean, that's the art form of the 21st century, right? Like marketing is the art form of the 21st century.
And I think it can get bigger now because, like, I don't know if you guys watched like boxing back in the day, but to get pay-per-view back in the day was really hard.
Yeah.
Like you had to call some crazy phone number that you had to figure out some crazy code and like get your dad to like use his credit card and buy this pay-per-view thing. And then you had to watch it when it was on. Where like streaming is you just log into your computer that's always open and like whatever, here's my PayPal that's already in there, and then the fight pops up. I'm gonna start and stop it. Like
you don't have to worry about your satellite dish going down or like
yeah.
the Slovakian
getting zapped.
The card getting zapped, man. That's is that
illegal stuff.
Yeah,
that's a Canadian thing, I think.
I think so.
It might be a Windsor thing.
Yeah,
every Serbian, because it's so funny when they did the illegal cable bit on the Seinfeld show and the guy was Russian. I was like, if you guys were like actually true to how this goes down, the guy was probably Serbian.
Yeah,
every single guy I know. Every Serb I know had a plug in the satellite dish world.
Of course.
Card got zapped. But yeah, I don't know. It's because like, is this a flash in the pan of just like all of these things coexisting at once and this opportunity arising? And if so, any ideas on what the next one might be? Right? Like, I don't think like TikTok doesn't seem to be monetizable to the way YouTube is. You don't have enough attention span. You don't have enough purchase. It's too instant gratification. Like I don't see, what was the one for Snapchat?
Yeah.
Is there a difference between the two? Fuck,
Yes.
I feel so old.
See, Snapchat, I don't think was ever, well, actually, you know what? Snapchat ads are crazy.
What do you mean?
Like if you go through, I'm crazy in the fact that there's so many of them and they're 7 seconds long, sometimes 10, sometimes even like 2 seconds.
Right.
You're looking through your friends' stories, Snapchat ads. It's just like Instagram ads. Like you're looking through Instagram stories, ad all the way through. So it's just literally just selling ads. Where the TikTok is doing that also, but some of the like America, because if you're in Canada and you have TikTok, you don't really see American TikTokers that much. Kind of like localizes you to your region. But some of these TikTokers are just like, well, there's a guy who's boxing now. They're like almost the new celebrities. And it's so weird to watch like a TMZ and see like, oh, this fucking kid, Josh Richardson, is on TMZ with his girlfriend Nessa, who's dating Lil Yachty or some shit like that. Just released a song. Like they're their own celebrity in this weird ass like 10 to 20-year-old like age group.
I mean, this to me is just the decentralization of the reality TV star.
True.
Right? Is that what it is?
basically.
Like, you know, rather than, and I don't know if these are like Bachelor, Bachelorette, are those still things?
Yep.
They are still things? Okay,
yeah.
like, I mean, what was the first reality TV show you watched?
Survivor,
right?
Survivor.
Where they're giving out a mill and a Pontiac Aztec,
Yeah.
right? Like, what? Imagine that as a reimbursement or as a win, a prize. Now, you get a SUV that looks like a tent on wheels and $1 million. Like, and what else?
People love it though. Like real life or real world, I mean.
Oh yeah, Real World was big.
Yeah, that was huge. It's
I had a
like,
friend who was on Big Brother Canada.
really.
Yeah, Kenny Santucci was on The Real World.
No way.
Yeah, that's how he got into fitness.
That's
now he plugs like Michelob Ultra.
Yeah,
or
the
some
Ultra
shit.
guy.
God, he's the worst. He's great, but he's also the worst. Kenny, if you're watching this, just stop.
Yeah.
Apparently Michelob pays though.
Big
Oh
time.
yeah,
Like,
huge.
They're paying everybody.
$2,500 a post.
Dude, all these athletes are getting Michelob. I don't know what they're trying to do here, but like Brooks Koepka
Yeah,
did a Michelob thing and all this.
it's huge.
That's it's so crazy. But to me, it like
Michelob, if you're listening,
Yeah.
call me.
Come on.
Killian.Hamilton.
no, there's
I
no
will
fucking
plug
way. You'd plug Michelob?
I'll do it.
Oh man, there's a podcast I was told about where the guy will literally sponsor anything. And it's actually become a draw because people will tune in just to see the
What he'll do.
ridiculous shit that he plugs. No, I couldn't do it. I don't care. And like, even if it is 2,500 a post, fuck that. For
Michelob.
Michelob?
Don't listen to Shallow. I'm right
We're
here.
playing the good cop, bad cop thing. I mean, this is a layup for you. Because to me, the marketing is the gold standard is always the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right now, is that like I've talked to people that don't think the NFL is going to be a league in 10 years. Now, I don't necessarily think that's the case, but what will it take to topple that monolithic structure, that top of the hill Super Bowl ad space? What does it go for now? Like, for 30 seconds, we're looking at 20 million.
Let's find out.
That's insane.
I don't know if you're looking to topple. I don't know if my question is what topples the Super Bowl ad space, but my question is, how long does it take that ad space to be occupied not by celebrities in those cameos, but all by people that we don't know that exist on TikTok? Like, when is it like Budweiser with Jake and Logan Paul? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think it'll replace, is the cameos will be by people that nobody our age will be able to recognize.
Really? You don't think the silver screen will be the draw card?
I don't think
you don't think the
away.
billboards are going to be...
No, because like the movie theater hasn't gone away. Like,
right.
The movie theater will come back. I get that it's closed right now, but like, that's not going away. That will always be a place. The Super Bowl will always be a thing, because there's so much infrastructure that surrounds the Super Bowl in that city that this is just a cultural landmark every year.
I guess, yeah. So this is interesting. Lundy's got it up here. 5.6 million on average for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's going
to be a drop in the pond, though, for these companies in terms of marketing.
Well, was it you that was telling me the Oatly thing? Apparently Oatly, who the fuck, dude, I feel so bad. Whoever was telling me about the Oatly ad campaign on the Super Bowl, and I'm not citing you, I do apologize. Reach out to me so I can get you some credit on this. But apparently Oatly made it. Like the Oatly ad campaign, the oat milk that fucking came from Finland. I don't know. And there's like a shortage of it right now, which I don't understand. Yeah, and that because that can make a company.
Yeah.
Right? Like Oatly after that, fuck, I feel so bad. I don't know who it was. Someone told me the story and we're like, they even said at the time that give it like 2 weeks and Starbucks is going to be all over this. Now, if you go to Starbucks, part of your order like thing you can click is Oatly oat milk.
That's funny.
That's
But and it's all stemmed from their Super Bowl ad.
There you go.
But it's like, yeah, 5.6 million, you got to pay to play. But at what point, like, are the eyeballs just not there? Or, and here's another way to look at it, because for me to say that is projecting a scarcity mindset onto eyeballs, right? And like thinking that attention is a finite commodity, which I don't know if it is.
No.
Like, I think it's infinite.
Yeah.
Because look at Rogan, right? Like Rogan's ad space, I've heard, is upward of 60K a slot. Lundy, I don't know if we could fact check on that. I feel like Lundy's earning it today.
Yeah.
Sweating on the brow.
The thing with like Rogan, the thing that surprised me about Rogan's ad space is like, you just skip the ad. Like, why is that worth anything? Like, just hit 15 seconds twice and you're in.
What are we looking at? So they're just giving us regular CPMs. Okay. So if they do what? Like, let's say on average, it's like $30 a download. We could do the math on it. He runs like 6 ads pre-podcast. Each one of those guys are paying $40 a download. Let's just run the numbers on how many downloads he does a month.
Fuck ton.
Well, yeah. I mean, like we had Sal on the podcast, and he was telling us that they were dropping 100,000 downloads a day. So what's Rogan hitting a month in downloads?
190 million.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
What does MM mean? Million?
190. Let's just,
I don't know.
190 million downloads.
What is MM?
I don't know,
click
dude.
it.
Oh, million. Fucking
Neighborhood. Yeah, but that's dollar figures though, right? Okay, and this is the sad. And this is what if
Yeah, it must be 1 million.
if attention. So you're saying 190 million downloads a month.
Fuck.
maybe.
So I'm gonna add another zero. I can't do math past 10,000. So that's 190 million. If he does, let's say on the conservative end,
190 million. Crazy.
he gets
Nice.
$30 per 1,000 downloads, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
So what's 190 million divided by 1,000? You chop a
Bunch
few
of
zeros
zeros.
off that. It's 190,000, right? So 190,000, you're timesing that by 30 per. That cannot be right.
Dude, he got signed to Spotify just to be on Spotify for
so yeah,
200 million or something like that.
So I got like the insider scoop from some people in the know, and I've heard it's 300 million, and you get it back in 3 years, and they're just licensing it, and he can still keep his JRE clips. And dude, and I mean, and that's the question would be, does he still keep ad rev from this thing, or does Spotify take it? If Spotify could take it in the deal, then he's fucking laughing. Like then it's an even exchange. But if he's doing 5.7 mil
a year,
no, dude, that would be a month.
a month. No way.
So if it's like a CPM
probably.
Right? So per 1,000 downloads, right? The industry standard is like even like 30 is probably right down the center of the road. It might be diluted now because jackasses like us have podcasts, but we don't run ads, so fuck yeah. So if he's doing 190 million downloads, we make that into a CPM value. So we basically we divide that by 1,000, right? We end up with 190,000 units of this CPM. If each unit is worth $30, that 190,000 times 30 is $5.7 million.
Good for him then.
A month.
Wow.
You know what? The thing with that is like he still goes out and runs with his golden retriever and posts that on the gram. If he sees an artist that he likes, he still posts it and shares it. Yeah. Like he'll bring people on the show. Like, dude, that might be the most centered human being on the planet. If you're pulling that kind of bank, and what's his overhead? Like he's got nice cars, got a couple nice watches, but like he ain't flexing. Like,
yeah.
He's got a nice home.
He is. I know. Maybe
he's like a relatively normal celebrity house. You know what I mean? Like
I've never seen it.
Somebody in the hills, it's a normal house.
Right. But like I guarantee, it's so crazy to me that he is probably one of the wealthiest people in Hollywood. He's got to be over $1 billion. No, net worth 100 million. Sorry, I have a problem with 100 million when Spotify's giving him 300 million, right?
That's probably his net worth, like
of assets currently.
Of UFC, like
that could be his net worth coming out of fucking Fear Factor.
Well, this is also celebritynetworth.com.
Yeah, I probably wrote that article.
Yeah, can I get a footnote citation that isn't Killian Hamilton's ass where we definitely pulled these numbers from?
No, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it's updated 2021. There's no way.
Where's he out of? Does he pay a lot of taxes?
Texas. He moved to
Texas. Now he moved to Texas.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's just fucking 20% increase off the top of that. Yeah, no way. He's doing well. He's doing good too, which I like.
Is it weird that I can't fathom that amount of money?
No.
Like I can't think of, if you said you're going to get $1 million, I'm like, oh, I'm going to retire.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
I didn't know how to add zeros past 100,000. I was like, is this going to work? Is this going to blow up my phone? Is this like the millennium where I switch over to like year 2000 and everything stops working?
It's insane though. Like $1 million, you can like, if you have $1 million in your retirement, you make, they say roughly 60 to 70 grand off of your investments per year.
Right.
So you just sit on that and you can pull out 60 grand a year and live off that when you're retired. I could probably live off 60 grand pretty easily if I wanted to. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be like, you know, I'd still have a shitty truck. I'd have, you know, an okay house in Windsor or something. But like to imagine that going like per year, $1 million a year, exponentially more, $1 million a month, $5 million a month. What are you doing with that money?
Well, ask Floyd Mayweather.
True.
He blows a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right. Because he made 100 million last night.
Yeah.
You put that in the bank. Take your Windsor math. 60K. Add some zeros to that.
For real.
Right. What's that? 6 million? 6 million or 600,000?
600,000.
600,000. And he can blow it. He can absolutely blow it. Like I wonder how. Well, look at Ocho.
Yeah.
Right. He's 100 million career earnings guy. And it's like I don't know what the financial situation is there, but like you can as much money as you can think of
you can blow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're making even more too, because that's like you put your million in an RSP or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like they're doing like, hey, let me get equity in this company. Let me promote this company that I have equity in. Therefore, I just gave you like whatever my ads cost. Yeah. That's all free now. Like they're making insane amounts of money.
Yeah, they have a portfolio. There's a team managing.
There's somebody managing it minute by minute,
and they're probably making $250,000 a year plus bonuses,
which is fucking chump change to what they could pull in, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have what did the Nasdaq return last year? 9%.
somewhere around there.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're just not a jackass, like, you know, not riding the dip,
Yeah.
right, you're still going to make 9% on.
Same with the S&P. I think S&P was like 11.
Yeah. So it's like you put up now that, you know, the conservative 6% now almost doubles.
Yeah.
You're looking at 1.2 just off of the interest of one night's work. Like, are you fucking joking? What do? Well, you challenge a guy to put a Bugatti in your driveway in 24 hours, which is a Mayweather story.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's insane. At some point, that's got to be boring.
I don't know.
And
Dude, there's no way it's ever boring. Imagine you had a credit card right now and unlimited cash, and someone was like, yeah, you got to spend this. The shit that I would do,
You
man.
can figure it out.
Go. What would you do?
I would buy cars to crash them.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do? Because you're like,
What I do?
because here's the thing. Like, I've known you through stages of your life, and like the stuff that you buy that interests you, because you don't buy things that don't interest you,
No.
which is, and then, but when you have disposable income, you get a real look into the psyche of Killian, because like, oh, this is what interests you. This is what you decide to spend your money on. So it's like, you know, right now, it's if you want something, you just get it.
Pretty much.
For the most part, because the things you want aren't a Bugatti. You don't hit me up
Yeah,
and be like,
no,
yo,
like,
shallow.
it's not like I can like just go buy anything, but the things, within reason.
Right. But like, let's say it got unreasonable. So you
hard.
like, me and you fight. Someone gives you 100 million. They give me
Yeah.
20 for whatever reason. What's the next thing? Like, what is Buddy Paul doing right now?
Probably just hanging out, ice in his face.
You think?
No, he's probably got another plan to make another fucking 20. Those guys don't stop.
That'd be so interesting to catch them like after. Like, what is, like, get Ron McLean, get him with a towel over like a Talking Night in Canada. Just be like,
Yeah.
hey, does he go to Disneyland? Like, does he think of investing? Is it already spent?
That's the thing. Like, that's the hard part with YouTube that you can't tell, because as public as they are, it's very. I don't want to keep using the word curated, but as public as it is, it's very planned.
Yeah.
Whereas with celebrities, I feel it's not so much.
I know the studio that does Jake Paul's work.
Yeah.
They do like a handful of other big podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it is. And here's the thing, right? Like, we got sick of network TV.
Yeah.
We got sick of it, right? Like, we were just like, I don't want to be able to tune at this time. These shows are stupid. These people are stupid. And then, you know, the new generation of kids come up and we think they're so innovative and like they're doing all this stuff on YouTube and they're making this new money. And then what ends up happening? They end up forming the same structures that they despise, because there's only a few ways to do this thing right.
Correct.
So now it's the same thing under a different name.
Yeah, and it's weird, right? Because like when movies first became a thing, production companies owned the actors that were in the movies. So, for example,
Oh boy.
Clark Gable, like, just put a name out there some people may know, like Clark Gable or Cary Grant would be owned by a studio, say Paramount.
Okay, I know
So
that one.
Clark Gable can only be in Paramount Pictures. And when he would be signed to Paramount and they'd be like, you owe us 10 movies. Now, 3 of those movies may be the movies that we all like know Clark Gable to be in. You might be like, oh, there's a Gone with the Wind. Here's a couple other Oscar-worthy movies. But because they own him for 10 movies, they might be like, you owe us 3 more movies. And they could be dog shit.
Right.
But he has to make them. Now, the movie industry was somewhat decentralized at a point when United Artists, which is now a production company, was actually Mary Pickford and her husband and Charlie Chaplin were the United Artists that said, we don't want to be owned by production companies. We'll start like, not a union, but we'll start like our own production company so that we can choose the movies that we go into.
Right.
Because we don't want to be in these shit movies. So they broke off. So that was a decentralization of the movie industry. But then again, like you said, like it's very like comes full circle to being the same process again. Well, now agencies own actors, and those actors usually align themselves with production companies and then make all the movies through. Like A24 would be like a more indie, like art house style, larger studio, and you're going to see the same 10 actors in any A24 movie.
Right. The same way you saw the same 10 actors in any Happy Madison production or something like
Correct.
that. Well, the interesting thing with that is, because here you're seeing it, right? You're seeing the UFC with all of its problems. Like, everyone's like, yo, give Jones the 10 million to fight Francis Ngannou or whatever his name is. But here is an organization that owns its assets in
Correct.
the same way that, but now here you have an emerging like platform, YouTube, that's allowing, or TikTok or whatever the fuck, that's allowing people to decentralize. But I think ultimately what you'll see over time is like, I guarantee you one of the Paul's moves with the brothers is to create an agency to bring influencers into, and it's like, dude, you're just doing the same thing. It's just we're just recycling the top of the list.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't already have that, because I know that's a big thing in like the esports streaming industry, and I think in like
we use the word sport loosely.
Yeah, and then like, or like there was a thing for a while which was like real-time streaming. Like I think ICE was like a real-time streaming group. For the nerds that watch this, they may know who ICE is, but those were the same thing where they basically created this conglomerate marketing agency that pushed 10 YouTubers and or 10 Twitch streamers to the same thing. Like Jake and Logan Paul, I don't know much about YouTube, but like they probably have a company that has 6 other YouTubers that we probably don't even know of, that they're currently just like slowly driving up in the algorithm, right?
Yeah, and I think the urgency to do that now is greater now more than ever, because the shelf life or the half-life of these shelf lives is so small. Like, I don't think, and I'd be very surprised if in a few years we're still talking about Jake and Logan Paul.
Yeah, and I don't think that's ever the goal on YouTube, right? Because I think either YouTube pushes you out, or it's like you're dumb enough to wait till for them to tell you to leave, or you're smart enough to leave before they tell you to go.
Right.
And I think that's how YouTube works.
It's weird though, because they got like Jake Paul was canceled for a couple years.
That was the suicide forest thing, right?
Omar
and
told
like,
me about that.
The few other things, like they started looking into it, and it was like, oh, that's not very tasteful, like what he's doing. But he came back from it arguably way bigger than he was before.
Oh, I know who he is now.
Yeah.
Before, he was just, Omar had mentioned about this guy in the suicide forest, and he went in and he saw exactly what everyone told him he was going to see, and was like, oh my God.
Well, he was like laughing at it or something.
Yeah.
Well, and that's...
I think he put the dead body on the camera. Or something.
It was pretty fucked up.
And then put it on YouTube, which wasn't at the time the platform to get away with it. But then like, well, even Logan Paul, like fucking 3 weeks ago, didn't he play like snatch and grab on some chick at his mansion?
Hold on, what?
Like sexually assaulted some chick at his house like 3 weeks before this fight.
And that's where
like, he just still showed up and made 20 schmil. So
to circle back to Rogan quickly, like that's why I think he's worthy of so much adoration, because he's making what these guys make, you know, in a few rounds. He'll make that in like a few. This is this is man groomer. Shave your balls. Next one. Oh, what's the next fucking thing? This kind of so right. This is some kind of beef jerky made of elk. He just made it, and he fucking goes home to his wife and kids. Dude, I wouldn't love it, but if he can stay clean, like if he can keep an unblemished record, like no weird Louis C.K. pinning him in the room, jerking off in the corner bullshit. Like if he can keep that, he's up for sainthood. I
think he's gotten this far without that shit popping off. Like it would have popped off pre-Spotify if there was shit on the record like that.
You know what I would love? If he left like an email chain. Because
he's like 51, I want to say.
Looks good.
Looks great. Well, it's all the drugs.
Because he openly talks about it though, 53, right?
Okay.
All right. Can we just? I would love to
pull up Brad Pitt though.
Yeah, but Brad Pitt, like he fought in Snatch, and that was it.
But I'm just saying though, Brad Pitt looks pretty good.
But also, like I doubt. Oh fuck, maybe not.
Boom, 57. Yes, are you fucking kidding me, dude?
We don't have a chance.
Look at this guy.
How attracted are you to that man?
Dude, Brad Pitt's face looks like my nuts at 9 years old. Now, fuck, Clooney looks like a 6-year-old man.
Dude, cut that. All right, so you'd rather look like Pitt than Clooney?
Good though.
I'm doubling down.
Dude,
look at Pitt,
Silver
man.
Fox. Fuck you. No,
I'm
gotta go Clooney all
looking
day.
at these two
He's
pictures.
$1 billion in the tequila business. Get the fuck out of here.
That's true. He's rich as fuck.
Pitt smashing like MIT professors.
He's only 46.
Leo?
Yeah, he aged hard though.
Yeah, yo, that's 80 miles, bro. He looks like a catcher's mitt with a goatee.
With Bradley Cooper. I think Bradley Cooper looks pretty old too.
Bradley Cooper looks terrible.
I think he's on the Clooney trajectory.
You know who looks
Matt Damon. Let's talk about it.
Oh,
Matt Damon looks fucking
Matt
great.
Damon.
Timeless.
Boom, 50.
50. Yeah,
Kid looks 31.
He's done it the best.
We look the same.
We're brothers. We're all brothers.
29. I'm pushing 53.
Yeah, I'm 31.
This guy's rolling out of bed.
I'm gonna go on my George Clooney birthday next week.
What a schmanimal.
Yeah, he's the fucking goat. But I still take Clooney.
That's literally what I look like right there.
Dude, I was just saying the rig could use some work. But maybe if it doesn't, you got $100 million in the bank.
At 50, that's a pretty good.
Dude, he's still living off Goodwill Hunting interest.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, good for him, man. That's That's got to be a tough industry to fucking keep your shit together, though. Like, I still think Rogan ranks. Like, I mean, the thing too is Rogan didn't do a lot of time in combat sports proper, but he still trains a lot.
Yeah,
like you're still getting a fucking gi rash to the face. He probably gets ringworm every other month.
Yeah, I can't do the ringworm thing.
No, dude, high school. Remember? So we went to high school. That was real. Yeah, everyone tries to tell you that they cut themselves shaving. It's like, you didn't. You got some weird. Yeah, yo, jacked as fuck, this guy. And I mean, he talks openly about like TRT use, and I don't know if he talks
human
about, like,
growth hormone
use, but fuck, dude, I know guys our age that are banging
though?
that crank that don't need it per se,
and look worse than this, dude.
Yeah, he looks great, man. Good for him.
But also, he's not an athlete. Why do we care that he takes TRT, doctor prescribed, and a little HGH for the joints?
Even if he is an athlete,
and that's the thing, athletes are still fucking doing it.
They're doing it.
Yeah, I would just love it if like he had some paper trail. Like to me, the email leak thing is starting to seem like it's a plant. Like I feel like it's a really easy thing to Photoshop, like the Fauci thing that came out this week.
That looked like. So I'm not going either way on what the thing said, but if you look at that email, I'm like, this doesn't look like any email I've ever received. It came out of a typewriter. Like, you see the quality of that thing?
But that's my
what
whole
is that?
point.
Like they printed it off and then photocopied it and put it on an overhead in your math class in 7th grade. The fuck is this?
But I think it's the Hail Mary play. Like everyone still buys it because like how many times have like. Do politicians got to be smart enough now to stop sending this stuff? Send a fucking kite or something. Yeah. Like, don't be sending emails.
Yeah, we still have messenger birds.
That Fauci thing with the email, like that smells bullshit right out of the gate. It's like, oh, they need to reverse and change the narrative. Let's make a bunch, on a typewriter or Photoshop a bunch of emails.
Weirdest quality email I've ever seen.
But and that makes me think that the email itself now is like, it's just. They have like a playbook to spin the narrative and like, shit, we need a hard 180 from like, the populace to change their mind on COVID and get everyone back into the bars this summer, and I think that's it. Like in the same way, what were the big email scandals that broke? We had the Benghazi with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one.
But we had the Snowden one. Were those emails?
I think that was him just like.
I think he just told everybody, didn't he?
People shit. Yeah.
No. But like when those originally got to him, like he was given, or no, he but he extracted those personally through the NSA's service.
Is this it? This is the.
But it's like, dude, you're not penning this in an email. You're not laying down potential like earth-shattering conspircy theory confirmations and at the end going best Anthony Fauci. Like you're just not doing it, right? No. You're going to a payphone at like Dulles and typing in a bunch of quarters sitting there in the rain in a phone booth making these phone calls. There's no fucking way that's real.
The thing is like I worked in a commercial gym. Like, and my boss, like a district fucking, I don't know, whatever the name was, like a district manager wouldn't say anything in an email. They'd always be like, they'd email you and go, give me a call.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever been in a managerial position in a large organization, no one says anything in an email. They always go, give me a call right away.
Yeah.
That would be the email. If you saw an email from Fauci that said, call me right now, or I'm going to call you, that would make sense.
Right.
Some long-winded spiel, like what the fuck?
Yeah, just it's too convenient, right?
Don't you remember the hot dog and pizza emails, Pizzagate, where like there was all the emails going back and forth about like, I really do enjoy hot dogs. What would you like at the barbecue? And it's like, I love a slice of cheese pizza. And then people on Reddit got into it and they were like, hot dogs mean little boys, cheese pizza means Asian girls. What? And then they were like, don't you love a family that loves a good hot dog and it's like an Asian family eating hot dogs? And they all thought it was this child pedophile ring.
In the same way they thought like Wayfair was selling like Catherine cabinets that were
They're like, oh yeah. See, the number is the same number as the missing persons report. They're in the drawers. It's like, what is happening? Is it Seinfeld?
It's a Feldman or a Fardman or whatever.
So stupid.
I don't know. I saw that and the first thing that clicked in my brain was like, there's no fucking way, right? Like, but to me, even this seems played. Right, like the Trump emails. Was it Trump that had emails to Russia? There's something other. There was another big one other than Benghazi that was leaked through emails. Biden's kid was like running yayo and meth, and also maybe in bed with the Ukraine. It's like stop sending fucking emails, unless they're not sending emails.
My thing is always the like. They left their computer to get repaired, and someone found the emails. When was the last time you brought your computer to get repaired? I don't have that much money. If my computer broke, I would throw it in that trash bin and buy a new fucking computer. And it's like, it's always a Lenovo.
Right.
Like, listen, you cocksucker, it's $400. Buy a new laptop.
Who's going to redeem the ThinkPad?
Like at this point, I'm 0069, the greatest spy in the world. If you got a fucking Lenovo, you're dropping it off at 123 for Adam to fix for you.
They need their stuff on there. They come and
Fuck
go,
me.
this is very important.
Yeah.
Don't look at anything, but I need all the data off
Right,
of this.
right.
Like, okay.
And it's always funny to me how little they sell the information for.
Yeah.
It's like he sold it for like a bus pass at like $12. It's like, dude,
Crazy.
It was the same thing. So we had a buddy that we used to train with. His, how the fucking story go? When basically the Apple iPhone 5 got leaked to Wired magazine, there was a guy who found it on a bus or on the VTA in San Jose. That was my butt. So Mike Zundel, I'm totally fucking outing the story. Sorry, Zundy. Zundy's wife, her brother. So my buddy's brother-in-law is the guy who found the phone. And it was like, found it at a bar in Mountain View, California, like down the street from Boss. And it was just like, found it. It was like, oh shit. Like kind of thought he knew what he had, was Apple branded, but had never seen it. And was like, okay, so he kind of tries to do his due diligence. He calls Apple. And I don't know what number you call. Like, hi, is this Apple? And it's like, obviously,
Can I talk to Steve, please?
but obviously, like people who are answering the phone at Apple are not like, I've been in meetings at Apple where people have told me like, basically like anyone that gets paid less than this amount has to leave.
Yeah.
And they do that 3 or 4 times. Like they'll literally tell there's 2 people left that are at the director level, and then they figure out the rest of their shit. So it's like, you're not, the person at the front desk is not knowing about this, right? If you're not meant to know, they don't know. Called a few times and sold it to Wired magazine. It's funny because I know like a director at Apple as well. And he was in the war room with Steve Jobs when this was popping off, when Wired magazine had it. And he said that Steve Jobs was on the phone with the FBI.
I don't doubt that. And that's the thing. Like, you ever watch movies where they get like government information and the number's always insane that they want? They're like, I want $500 million in the state of Texas. But then in real life, Biden's son's like, give me $100,000 and a little meth.
Right.
And also like the file folder that had all the information about Ukraine also had his dick pic in it. Right. He's like, no one will look in here, tosses a quick dick pic in the folder.
Is this real?
Yeah.
Dude.
Dude, there was like, they found the information on Ukraine and then like Biden's kid like smoking meth with his hog out.
Well, because I feel like, especially with politics, it's Twitter is now the Tom meeting in the street. Yeah. Right. So I feel like the Dickie and the meth is like, this is what's going to be trending in 140 characters or less.
Yeah.
Biden's son's email has something to do with like Putin and maybe Ukraine and also some oil company. I don't even know if that wasn't 140 characters or like, it's the clickbait and switch.
Yeah.
You're going to get that. You're going to get them on the hook with dick and meth and they're going to stay and be like, oh shit. Like there's a story here. Right? Like it's like a rider on a bill.
Yeah.
It's just like this fine print. It's fucking crazy. But I'm just gonna stop buying into this. Like I haven't followed it. I've basically been running away from COVID for a year and a half and just going places where people don't necessarily think it's a thing. But even like they gotta stop doing emails now.
Yeah.
Right? Like the next is gonna be like some guy said that he was sitting next to Fauci on a bus and heard this, because that's really like, that is as verifiable as, I mean, we could write up an email right now and draft it with, I don't know, Anthony Fauci at me.com.
Yeah.
And write it. And like, I question the validity of this kind of stuff. But I think if it is, because here's the thing, there has been what seems to be in the last couple of weeks, like a very big shift in the public perception around this. So this is, you can vilify Fauci, you can burn him at the stake. And all of a sudden, it's like, that's a rallying cry again. You can just you can change the direction of that tide so that people move as one towards like, oh shit, okay, like, yeah, I understand that you thought it was this thing, but it actually wasn't. It's not a big deal. Now the whole country can keep on going forward.
Even, I don't know, like some things are crazy. Like we're looking at this article, it says 2,000 emails a day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how
fast does it take you to write your fastest email?
I'm probably 90 words a minute typing.
Yeah, and like, so if you were to write like even a simple reply, just like, yeah, great, opening it, typing it, hitting send,
reading what was sent.
reading,
to you.
let's say 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Like if you're sick at it,
Right.
so 60 seconds. So 2,000 minutes a day minus the intervals between when the emails were sent and received. What's 2,000 minutes divided by hours?
So 2,000 divided by 60. Hey Siri, what's 2,000 divided by 60? Never listens. Government's listening.
She's listening.
Government's listening though.
I don't know how to do
So we're
that.
going what? 2,000 divided by 60?
Yeah.
60, 33. You can't even send that in a day.
You can't. Aggressively, if every email took 60 seconds to open, reply, think about, and hit send, it'd take you 33 hours?
You'd have to be sitting next to the person and hear them verbalizing until the second they send it, you
Correct.
could send the next one.
So what, like, how is he
has,
saying?
like,
And that's
five
unreal.
people doing it.
And I mean,
Like-
that's
And
unrealistic.
even
if,
still, like, so it's 24 hours a day. People, it's like a
Oh,
PBS
he was
telethon.
receiving. He was receiving more than 2,000 emails a day. Not
okay,
saying-
are we counting like
and then
either
like,
way,
but here's the thing: when you collect data,
unsubscribe, dude?
Yeah.
Like you bought something on StockX 3 years ago. Like it was unsubscribe to the fucking email.
and
list.
that's another thing people need to do when they intake information is you need to intake information and understand what the information means to you. What all they're doing by going, he was receiving 2,000 emails a day, is throwing an absurd number out to you that makes you literally cross your eyes and not understand the rest of it. You're like, 2,000 emails a day. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And then that's what you talk about. But it's like, what does that data mean? Like, we all receive a bunch of emails a day. What does that data mean? It means nothing.
That to me is like a sign that says, "Oh, nothing to see here."
Yeah.
Right. Like in the same way, you know, the porn stash is saved on the desktop as 2017 tax returns. It's like nothing to see here, guys. Like 2,000 emails. Like that just builds.
You're like, oh, there's definitely some shit going on. 2,000 emails.
right.
It's like, dude, you're a janitor. You get 56 emails a day.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. I'm starting to think that this lab leak conspiracy is probably how it went down.
I just don't know, again, what
Period.
people do with the information. Like, I could read this whole article and I'm still going to have to go to work, buy groceries, and go home.
But I think that's the problem, right? Like you have a lot of people who can't go
Correct.
to work,
So
right?
Go to work.
And well, yeah, I think that's going to be ultimately the antidote to this, and should have been maybe the prevention of this is people just going like, and you know, we have friends or people that we know that was like, Fauci the heartthrob. I can't with the
Brad
internet
Pitt as,
anymore.
oh, that was SNL, right?
I can't with
Look
that.
at
How
Pitt.
good does he look though? This guy, he could pull off Fauci.
But that's the
Unbelievable.
thing, right? You get Pitt playing Fauci, and now you get all the people going behind Fauci because they saw him look like Brad Pitt.
I think the news is crazy.
Dude, the world is crazy.
I would just, I want it to be like, I want it to be deep state.
Yeah.
Because it's just too fucked if it's just random. Like if it's just a bunch of random events, it just happens and then you die. It's like I would love for like the cave mountain office round table war room in Zurich or some shit where there's like a few guys like the Rothschild. I've heard crazy conspiracy theory without going down this rabbit hole. I heard the Rothschilds put a patent on the COVID test in 2015.
Well,
Lundo, I'm looking to you.
Which COVID strand, though?
Ah,
Because COVID is just the flu, right?
I don't know.
Because there's COVID 1, COVID 2. That's why we have COVID-19. It's the 19th COVID.
What?
No,
Yeah.
it came out in 2019.
Whatever. It's not, COVID isn't isolated to this thing that's going on right
Yeah,
now.
coronavirus is a
strain.
some type of, it's like an
COVID has
influenza.
been
Yeah, it's like
always a thing.
H1N1 or some
Yeah, like
bullshit
we've
like that.
always
I got
had
you.
COVID. So maybe they did, but that might not be this.
Fact check.
Okay, so fact check: Rothschild did not patent test for COVID-19.
See, but that's how this shit happens.
Well,
is
yeah,
that
that's why we got
somebody
you.
Says a
why we
word.
got
Somebody
you.
says like, "Yo, I saw fucking Justin Bieber on Queen Street like sucking dick for crack."
that probably happened.
And
gonna
then
say.
I got some
people are like,
insider.
"Yeah."
I got some insider stories on.
But
Beach.
you know, you just say something, and then somebody's like, "Is that true?" And then you're like, "Yeah." Well, if I tell people, let's say I tell our buddies in Windsor, this happened, saw this, they're gonna
Yeah.
be like, "That's fucking crazy. Why would Lundy lie about this?" And then they're gonna tell somebody else and be like, "I've got sources in Toronto who know
Yeah.
a lot about dick and crack."
right?
Telling me
That's
these
you. I
things.
guess.
They're like,
Here's
coming from a credible place.
Here's a local authority. Although your neighborhood would probably make you the local authority.
Yeah.
I oversee.
Yeah.
I oversee what happens. But yeah, and that's again like, I don't know. I just don't pay attention to anything because I find it's a lot of noise.
Oh, I find it wildly entertaining.
This is all, but if you're entertained by this, that's okay.
I do it because I need to know what I'm walking into. When I walk into my elevator, I need to know what the counterfactuals are when I play this little 10-floor game with people that I don't wear a mask.
So I was listening to I'm going to shout out Dan Carlin from Hardcore History and Common Sense. Hey. Dan Carlin, you're never going to listen to this, but if someone knows Dan Carlin and they can put me in touch with,
get him on the show.
Yes, we need to get Dan Carlin on the show. If you know Dan Carlin or the possibly real person Ben, get him in touch with us. But I'm a huge fan of his, and on his Common Sense podcast, I think this podcast was actually from 3 years or so ago, but he said a really interesting thing. And he said, what he had said was he was really jealous of like book clubs, like mom's book clubs. Because the great thing about a book club, and I was like, fuck, this is the one time I heard someone else say something and I went, nah, it's pretty cool. But he said, at a mom's book club, everyone reads the same book. They don't debate what happened in the book. They debate about how they feel about what happened in the book because they all read the same book.
Right.
So it's like the hero did jump from the train. It's not an argument of if he did. He did. Right. And how do we feel? What are our interpretations of the event? But nowadays, when you get in conversations with people, me more than anybody, it's this overwhelming feeling where I go, they haven't read the same books as me. We're not debating the higher level conversation of the interpretation of something. The simple thing that they're doing is what everybody learned in middle school debate class was that when someone says something, you just go, name your sources. Who are your sources? Yeah. What sources are they? And you debate the sources. That's not debating the point. That's trying to disqualify where the information came from. Right. That's a very uneducated way of arguing.
I literally had an hour with my shrink last week talking about this exact same point. I was getting my COVID test done to travel tonight. And I was looking across the street at a church outside the window. And I literally thought to the person next to me who had 2 masks on and the visor and the beekeepers. And I literally thought like, I must be missing something. And I wonder if this person can see that church across the street. Like, will they object to my perception of reality based off of what I'm seeing because I'm seeing it and not them? Like, can they actually see it? My biggest issue I have is that I can't predict how people will react.
My biggest problem with people is when you have a conversation with them, they just go, well, who is the source? Name your source. What about the science? But they too don't understand their side of the argument. They're just discrediting your side of the argument.
Right.
And that immediately shows me that they're not intelligent.
And I think dude, it's so funny that you talked about like reading books because Nat talked about it and was like, do you think part of your problem might be that you like read too much? Not read too much, but read more than other people. And like, they can't make this higher level, like abstraction of like what it is you're trying to talk about. And I was like, maybe I can't control for that and not read what I've read. And then I watched this podcast. You know who Rex Murphy is? Rex Murphy is like a Canadian, you know him?
No.
So Rex Murphy, he's a newfie.
Oh God.
No, dude, he's honestly
hard pass.
No, so he's been, because I grew up in like a newfie household.
Oh, I know who this is.
Dude, this guy can spit bars.
Yeah, no, he's
like
actually cool.
No one's business. He'd be if I could get Rex Murphy on the podcast.
He's like a big CBC guy, right?
It was a CBC guy. Yeah, he still does like a radio show. But
it's like Tales of the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
He is, if the province of Newfoundland had a face,
yeah,
it's that. Like,
he looks like low testosterone.
He is actually, I would say he is Canada's best literary export of all time. Like, to listen to this guy, I listened to a podcast with him and Peterson. Now, I'm not the biggest Peterson fan, but I am a fan of Rex Murphy.
Yeah,
and fair. Listening to Rex fucking spit bars was unbelievable. And he did a degree in English literature, and he's like, this makes me a very formidable person.
I think it says he's a Rhodes Scholar, but did not complete it. So he was accepted as a Rhodes Scholar.
He went to Oxford after MUN, and then he got into his like early career while he was doing it. Interesting. Yeah. Without a doubt, probably the smartest guy to come out of Newfoundland, but he made the same point about like, he made a case for memorization, right? He made a case for like, look, you might not get it when you first read it, but like if you're 15, 16 years old, like you should memorize really good writing. You should memorize it because it just gets in there and it starts to blow out the walls of your conceptualization of what's possible. Like, because it's not gonna click, right? You're not gonna necessarily comprehend it, but if it's in there and you experience more shit in your life, it'll be a there'll be a thinner barrier between your experience and what you know, and then it'll be easier to break that barrier down, right? Because then like as you get older, you start to have these experiences. Oh, and that's just like what happened in Moby Dick, or that's just what had happened in, I don't know, whatever. Name some, whatever. What the fuck is the one I'm thinking of? Because this happened to me. I read this book and I know Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
I read Dante's Inferno. I didn't understand a single word of it.
Well, that makes sense.
I read the entire thing cover to cover. This was like 5 years ago. Like I wasn't like 12 trying to like go from coloring in the lines to reading Dante's Inferno. And in the last 5 years, like, oh, this is like in Dante's Inferno when he like does this and this and Virgil does that. Like, oh, okay. But it's like, it's funny that it comes back to books and you said that, because literally 3 times in the last week, I've seen this idea referenced.
It's just, my problem is people talk about like the objective things that are happening in the present, which to me is often noise, because it's not what is exactly happening, but it's the higher level conversation of what is happening, right? Because like you said, everybody on YouTube will inevitably do what everybody's always done, right? Like network TV is going to become what YouTube is going to become what network TV was. There's only 10 ways to monetize something. Like government's always government. Right. The guy might be different and he might say something different, but government does what government does. Not enough people know how A, the government works. B, not enough people actually fucking vote. Right. So that's a number one thing. Like you need to have voted to have something to say, or you need to live in the woods and not comment on it. Right. Because you chose to exclude yourself from the conversation. You know what I mean? Like, dude, if you show up to dinner with 10 people and you don't have any money, you don't choose what everybody orders. Yeah. Like, I think people forget that. Like, if you come to dinner and you don't have a wallet, you fucking eat what's at the table. Sure. You bring a wallet, dude, you can pick what you want. You're going to fucking put in on it. Go nuts. Otherwise, shut the fuck up and sit in the back. Eat the French fries. Yeah, fuck off.
I think to your point about like knowing how government works from a principle standpoint is huge, and also knowing how it has or has not worked in the past. Also,
yeah, knowing the function of a government.
Right.
Like understanding that it actually does need to exist. I'm sorry to say.
But I think the historical perspective of like what has government gotten right in the past, when has it gotten wrong? Because like you said, there's literally nothing new. No. Like we've talked about, you know, the iterations of this. Like we look at this Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Mayweather, all this nonsense going on right now. It's like, this is just maybe not the flavor of the week. This is the flavor of this generation. Right? I'm sure you could go back and see parallels in this through history, but it's across the board. Like the best advice I was ever given was like, establish a business that would have worked 20 years ago. Yeah. And it'll work for another 20 years. Right? If you're trying to predict something into the future, like, oh, this is the next thing, like VR. Like, what guys are just jerking off in 4D now? Like, what is the deal with that? Like, there wasn't a thing that is a new branch that didn't really exist. Yeah. So it's probably not really going to hit, in my opinion. Right. So this idea that knowing historical context helps you with this objective present, and it helps you navigate and then put it into perspective. Like, oh, this. Yeah, this shit again. Rather, like you said, it's this prime minister. Ooh.
Yeah, and it's some cabal of evil. Like, it's not a cabal of evil because it's never been a cabal of evil. All the things that have occurred in the history of time, and all of a sudden a cabal of evil starts. I'm sorry to say, but it doesn't.
I think the problem with where we're at in historical perspective is there was a cabal of evil. There's been like maybe 10 ever, right? Like proximity to like Genghis Khan, right? Proximity to Hitler.
But it's not a cabal because we know the players. Like the axis of evil, not a cabal because it's not secret.
Right.
A cabal is a secret organization of antagonists.
Okay, so you're thinking more on the lines of like deep state shit.
Correct. And that's the thing. Like a cabal has to be secret. Search cabal. I don't want to be wrong. Let's search cabal. Let's define it.
I was going off context
because some fucker's going to pop off on me.
That's going right in the DM.
It. Well, I think that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a masked man.
It's the dude from Mortal Kombat who runs really fast.
All right, so so cabal is a veiled figure.
Yeah, it's a veiled organization.
Got you. Okay. So
where you don't really know all the players.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like we don't have that because we know who they are. So the way I've always envisioned like world politics and the push and pull of what we deem evil and good is, imagine you had a world atlas with pins in it in all like the largest countries in the world, the most powerful countries, and you took a rubber band and you wrapped them around all the pins. Now you could pull that rubber band back and forth, and you're shifting the actual mass of that band more to one side or more to the other. I don't think there's a cabal of evil working against humanity. I think it's how world politics works. We get these massive shifts in movement as if this rubber band is being pulled to one side or the other based on who's holding on to something that at a current time could have more weight than another place.
Right. I still think that the events in the early 40s, late 30s play a big role in the way we interpret and are hypersensitive about things, right?
Oh, I think it does, but I think what we need to cut out is the occult cabal of evil idea.
Yeah. Like
100%. Like that shit was crazy. Axis of evil is definitely a thing.
It was crazy, but it's also, I think it's the only direction that we can draw a line from to our current reality because it's so, and I think it should remain like, they stopped teaching it in grade schools and shit. I think that's a huge mistake. Like I wasn't until probably mid undergrad until I really understood the gravity of reading about early 1920s Ukraine, 1930s Germany, all that, like even Mao's China, all that shit. Like, they could only have one kid. I think my mom only had to have one kid. It's like, oh no, that's actually a crazy human atrocity. But I think people, because of proximity and time, people can't draw like here's where we are here. There's any different ways where people can be either ignorant or malicious in their intent at the political level. It's like Doug Ford closes patios. It's like, that's this direction that way off into who the fuck knows because he's just a guy that sells fucking Gatorade labels or some shit, right? And his brother smoked rock and some shit. Where it's like we think that this exists in like a linear fashion where we go, oh, we're stepping out. It's like, dude, this happens in so many dimensions and so many directions that if people step out of line, it's like maybe he's just dumb. Maybe he's just dumb and taking bad advice and has 10 things out. Maybe his wife was mad at him. And then he had to go to work like, I don't fucking care, man. Yeah, patios, whatever. That's your job. Okay, you're the patio guy. Hey, guys, patios are closed. Can't golf because you're going to go hit a patio after. And then he's got to go back and deal with his wife, right? Maybe that's a thing.
Also, like, it's a popularity vote, right? It's a democratic election in which the majority wins. The most popular vote wins. Don't forget that.
Well, and that brings up a point about, like, our friends getting mad in the fitness industry. It's like, look, you can't have a say. If we got more people into fitness and B, as a fitness community, we're a larger part of the voting populace, gyms would be open the entire time.
If people were just a larger part of the voting populace altogether and understood what they were voting for.
I think 2 to 3% of voters are actually like avid gym goers. I remember reading that stat. And it's like, yeah, who's going to pander to that? Trudeau's just going to keep filling the country with immigrants that'll vote for him, and rightfully so. I would too if the guy brought me in.
The other thing to take into account is like that, and that's the problem with statistics though, is it's like if we got more people to work out, then more voters would vote for fitness. Or is it more people that work out need to fucking vote? Yeah, like, look at how we're painting this. We're saying more normal people need to work out. That's the problem. No, more people in fitness need to show up and fucking vote.
Well, yeah, but it's still not enough.
But it doesn't matter though, because
yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. All right, because we both worked in commercial gyms where we see how many members are members of that gym. And we see how many of the same 35 faces show up every single day. I
need to know exactly how many fucking people in fitness complain about it and have a registered fucking voter card.
Oh, dude, it's disproportionate enough. It's disproportionate, and I'm not trying to discredit your point. You're 100% right.
But it doesn't matter until it fucking matters.
Right, but here's the thing. Even if we came out swinging...
Who they all vote for?
No, but
post
dude,
it.
But
post it. No, but post your vaccine and who you voted for.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. But it's like, even if we had our meathead cohort batting 1,000% in the polls, we're still coming up at like sub 5% of the population.
But it's the same principle of if it mattered to you and it didn't matter.
Oh, dude, I totally agree.
Then it can matter to you now.
Right.
But you can't show up now and go, not enough people work out, they need to vote.
Yeah.
Because you know what? A lot of those fucking people who don't work out also showed up and did their civic fucking duty that you all jerked off on Remembrance Day about for someone fucking dying for
100%.
So fuck right off.
100%, dude. And we're the worst, and we probably deserve as an industry what we got because we don't... we're too busy with our hoodies on in the corner and not showing up because, they're not, it's not a ploy that they put voting on chest day or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, no, I'm totally with you. But it's just, I think, for people to have a voice, like for the fitness community to have a voice, it needs more people and the people it has to also show the fuck up.
I think society in general needs to take more responsibility of the things that are actionable to them, not pointing fingers at things that are actionable for others.
Oh,
Like within your control, what can you do?
yeah.
Vote.
Oh, and
That's what you can do. And if you didn't vote, pack it in, man.
right.
Pack it the fuck in.
And I'd be really interested to see when the next election comes along what the uptick, because if there's not an uptick,
It won't be.
you don't think?
Like, and by how much? Sure, there might be an uptick, but I say it's not enough to go like, oh, there's a difference.
So what's really, you don't think it'll be a statistically significant uptick in people showing up to the polls after this?
I don't even know when the next election is.
Wow, dude. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
I just show up and vote for my dad every year.
Andy.
I do every single time. I don't vote for anybody on the card.
You write his
I write his name in
I see. That's an interesting point too. I was gonna say like,
because I disagree with government. So I show
yeah.
up and vote,
yeah.
but I show up and vote because it's my
Yeah.
civic duty. But I vote for my dad because I disagree with the government we have.
Now, do you think? And well, obviously, you
You're the
think
fucking best.
you think you think there's no government currently right now that'll help a lot of people. I kind of agree with that. But do you think that people understand that they actually? I don't want to say like they don't get a choice in the matter. Like we have a conservative government right now in Ontario who closed all small
Correct.
businesses.
Correct.
Which is totally backwards.
Yes.
Right.
The Liberal government is the one who's getting blamed for not getting vaccines. So we got two governments that are terrible. That leaves us with the NDP, which is like a centrist sort of thing.
Yeah.
A little more conservative.
R.I.P. Jack Layton. That guy seemed pretty legit.
He held onto the hairline for a bit though.
Yeah. And then we got the Green Party, which is no one's going to vote for because that's just too.
And weed's
too out there.
legalized. They've already won.
Exactly.
They've
yeah.
already won.
So is there anything like, I think that no matter who we vote for, we would have been in the exact same position.
100%.
Every single person would have locked down Ontario, maybe not as long and maybe not exactly how it went. I think we'd be in the exact same situation. And I don't think that there's a government that's going to give you, even if there was, like, even if we found something that Killian liked and we put them up there and they won, the stuff that Killian wanted wouldn't get dealt with. I think we would stay pretty much exactly the same in everything. We'd have cuts in education or something, maybe get more education money, cuts in healthcare, a little more. Like, I think we're stuck forever.
Oh, I agree. So if we had the government that I would like, we would
It'd
be
be Andy. It'd be your dad. It'd be
but we would
amazing.
be in the exact same position
We
we
all have black
are
guys.
in now.
We have no choice.
Because I think what they deem is the best, not what they deem. I think what a great form of government could possibly be, if it ever worked, was a government designed to help the people that can't help themselves. A bottoms-up government,
True.
but we don't have that. So like
Yeah.
a government should be designed to help the people who aren't able to help themselves. And in the situation that we're in, like the government should always benefit the people that have the least benefit given to them by society.
Right.
Right? Like the people who like are poor or are homeless or are in need of mental health or whatever. But it's like that government does exactly what our government did. They lock everything down, they give a bunch of people aid, and that's how it goes. I think that government would work really well outside of the situation we're in. Day to day, no pandemic, government probably flies because rich people stay rich, middle class people remain middle class, and the lower people, they kind of just operate in a society that's good enough, right? It kind of benefits them with some aid. Nobody does too well. In this pandemic, fucking man.
That's a problem, and that's why the States is pulling out of this so quickly.
Yeah.
Like it's a funny little horse race, right? Like everyone, like I remember seeing numbers out of Texas, and there was issues with reporting, and who knows with the Fauci emails, maybe there's a dick pic in there somewhere. But everyone's like, "Yo, the States is fucked."
Yeah.
Now it's like they're partying like it's 1999, right? And then it's like it's funny to see that the States has broken late. I think large in part to the fact that they have a privatized healthcare system that allows the bulk of the population to ascend above the problems that we're running into, because we
Yes.
have a system that works better on a day-to-day for that lower tier, where they had a system that worked better at a point of crisis.
So I had this conversation like literally yesterday about how I think the state's healthcare benefited them and how I see we don't need to have fully privatized healthcare. I think, like the healthcare we have is great and beneficial, but I think we should have consequential healthcare, because I don't think it's the actual lowest rung of people that bog down the healthcare system. I think it's the middle class people that overuse the healthcare system inconsequentially. Like you ever go to an emergency room and someone has the flu? That guy is ruining universal healthcare, but it should be consequential. It should be triaged. And if you come in, just like, when you pull a fire alarm and there's no fire and you get charged $1,500,
Yeah.
show up to emerge and don't need it, $1,500.
Yeah.
We should have a consequential universal healthcare system.
Do you know how much it costs for an ambulance in the States? You want to talk consequential? I got hit by a Chevy Suburban on my 10-speed. Guy fucking straight up. I was middle of the street, just rolled away from getting my head squished under a Camry. shoulder dislocated, lethal weapon 2 that bitch back into place. And a guy from the sidewalk who just saw me, yo, that was crazy. And he didn't ask me if I was okay. He asked me if I had insurance. And he was looking out for me more than like, because if he would have
Correct.
picked up the phone,
Yeah.
I was on the hook for 15 hundo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, Delta direct into Detroit business class, $400. That's my healthcare plan.
Yeah.
I would have got the fuck back out of Dodge and got into Canada.
And like, I think it swings way too far to like the monetized side in the States, but I think the understanding of a consequential healthcare system fixes many of the problems that we see with possibly our healthcare and some of the social reform we have from the people that may be more right or more towards privatization, is just make it consequential. Like, I had a girlfriend in high school who basically went into diabetic coma, and we went to the hospital, and then we were there 7.5 hours.
Wow. Throw her some like lifesavers or something.
Yeah.
And
You know what?
just
You know
watch
what
her.
saved her? Me going to the grocery store and buying a 6-pack of Tropicana.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Hamilton.
But like,
wild.
and we just sat there for 7.5 hours, and it was a non-consequential healthcare system that caused that, because there's people in there, the flu, you know, cut their toe. It's like, motherfucker, my dad cut his thumb off. We taped it back on. He went to the hospital 2 days later. Fucking no big deal.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Consequential healthcare system.
And I think the States does a good job of that. And I think to that point, it brings forth a lot of responsibility on the individual.
Correct.
Right? Like, oh, your WebMD searches are going to be where you start. And if you're looking at like, you know, WebMD is what it is, but it's like, oh, like, well, the long-term effects of this are X, Y, and Z. It's like, let's ride this. My parents do that. Yeah. My parents are like, I got this thing on my eye. My mom, like literally a couple of years ago, I got this thing on my eye. I'm like, that's not what? Like, that's not okay. Like, probably should go get that. I'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
It's like mom puts herself on the day-to-day. She's on the injured reserve, but she's not going in. And it was the same idea of like this. And if you want to really pay it forward, which I think is like the Canadian way, it's like, yeah, you let it run out. Because the British did the interesting thing where they kind of had both.
Yes.
Where they're like, oh, the consequence is you're 80.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you're going to have to go home now.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, look, your time is up. You've used the system or haven't for 80 years. Now we're going to keep this open. So it's the idea of consequence, like obviously financial consequence is, I think, a good way to bring people to the fucking table.
And I think it just rationalizes a lot of things, right? Because I think we all know people who like you talk to and they're like, yeah, I went to the hospital the other week for this thing. And you're like, that was nothing.
Right.
Like, you had a headache. I know people that go to the hospital with a headache. I'm like, dude, take some ibuprofen. It's like, well, I don't want to take ibuprofen. Like, what do you think happens at the hospital?
Right.
They give you a fucking wheatgrass? Come on, man.
You need the
It's-
MRI, you
get
need
the-
x-rays,
Yeah.
you need all that.
And then
get
you're
real.
just bogging down the system, dude. Like, somebody probably has a legitimately like broken neck who needs in that CAT scan, and you're like, well, I got this headache that's been lasting for a while.
Yeah.
I need another MRI on my shoulder that I threw out benching 315 in high school. It's like, no, you don't.
Right.
Do you guys think that we would save more money as like a collective Canadian government and people if everybody starting at the age of, let's say, how old do you have to be to go into a gym?
16.
Starting at the age of 16, you get a free gym membership.
Shout out Good Life.
No, because free is never the answer.
No, you have to monetize it.
Well, because, and just as, to Killian's point earlier about like, making that consequence financial, you propose that in a bill to reform Canadian healthcare. You watch how many people show up to the fucking polls.
Yeah.
That's the only, you want to, maybe to like double down on your point, you want to get people to vote.
Yeah.
That's what brings people out in numbers. If you're a primary issue voter, likely your primary issue is going to be driven behind the thing that's going to cost you the most amount of money, right? Maybe you're like a God-fearing, Planned Parenthood, save the whatever. That's fine. Most people are single issue voters, and the ones that are showing up because their wallets are going to get lighter on both ends. People
100%.
that are broke and want to get more money. People that are rich and they don't want to
lose it.
They don't want to lose it. So I think if you gave it to them for free,
Yeah.
no,
You have to
No.
basically say, like, we're going to give you this free, and if you don't lose weight or get healthy,
Right.
you're going to lose $500.
Dude, there is
every year or
apps.
something.
That like negative consequence
Yeah.
is there's apps based around that. I remember when I was in the Silicon Valley, there was an app that so you could do this. You could take like if say I wanted to lose weight, you could put this money in this escrow account.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you didn't lose the weight, you got to pick a charity or a cause to donate this money to, and it would be like announced through your social media that like I could.
Just shaming you.
Yeah.
No, but like you
Shit
could
outta
donate $500 to the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, yo, if you don't lose weight. So it's like
Makes
the
you worse.
positive motivation. People are more motivated about like if I said, hey, Killian, I'll give you $10 to go do this. For him, go fuck yourself. I'm
Yeah.
not doing shit for $10. If I said, hey, Killian, I'm going to take $5 away from you, he'd probably do it.
Yeah.
right? So that's what really drives human behavior, right? So it's like giving them something isn't going to do it. But it's like, yo, if you don't do it, I'm going to start taking some shit.
If there was a way to like a gym membership that was used to 60% of, you know, whatever was deemed the limit of exercise,
Right.
Was like a tax rebate.
Yeah, that's actually. Yeah, like you have to scan it
Correct.
X amount of times a month.
And there was like a form, and they were like, all right, cool. Here you go.
There probably already is that, but there's so much red tape around it. Like if
Dude,
I'm like
you try and write stuff off on your taxes. I don't know. The ones who write stuff off, they know.
They write it off.
How to write
You
it.
don't write stuff off?
Dude, I got an account that does it.
I got a guy who
now.
writes it off,
I'm
and then
my
I
own
don't file it because fuck the government.
Yeah, he just gives it to Andy.
And like, here you go, Drew.
They gonna
You hold
get
on to this for me in case the cops come.
Yeah, it's just I got your escrow account. It's called the fucking barrel in the backyard with your money in it. Yeah, I think we solved it. I think we got to the bottom of it. I think we figured out world peace.
Vote for us. Like we just figured out we're the cabal of evil. Lundy, you and me.
This is it. All year in the studio. This is fun. I like this. I'm excited to be able to do more current event shit. This is cool. If you have issues with Killian's use of the word cabal, be sure to find him on Instagram at Killian.Hamilton.
And also noted, I wasn't using it in an anti-Semitic sense.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter that you laid a disclaimer down. That's for the world to decide now that we're on the internet.
That's true.
And you'll be seeing Killian on a main card sometime next year when he's YouTube famous for being anti-Semitic.
Yeah, it's me fighting all the unregistered